got y'all some donuts too. They in the other room.
That's very nice of you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
IBNX Radio.
All right, everybody. Welcome to this week's Friday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice, and the correspondents,
Simone Cherie.
Ronald Newton.
and our very special guest on today. We have two of them. So my first guest is Mr.
Double-R.
and the second guest.
Vigilante.
All right, so y'all know I have to give y'all the rundown. So first and foremost, Simone started last week. She did an amazing job last week, so kudos to her. Even Mr. Brody had to bow down, and he was still talking about that when I spoke with him. So quite impressive for your first time out the gate interviewing an up-and-coming congressman. And the second voice, I don't think, Ron, you did Jason's show once.
Yeah, I did it once, only for like 10 minutes though.
All right, so today is Ron's test run, so make sure you talk into the mic, because I know you like to talk to the side, so you talk to the mic. So today is his first test run with me, so we're going to see how he does. But he shouldn't have a problem, because today should be right up his alley, because all my millennials like music. So this should be right up his alley, so I expect good conversation, because me and Simone are probably going to be looking. So, you know, we're going to chime in, but we're going to come in with the hammers. So we're going to come in with the hammers. All right, so the show today, we're really looking at independent artistry. What does it look like, you know, devoid of a major label behind you, when you're the PR person, when you're the marketing person, when you're the one making all the decisions? What does this world look like? Because you see a lot of independent artists now, thanks to social media, because, and we were talking about this before we went on the air, I don't need a major label to back me when I have millions and millions of followers who like my statuses and buy my singles and stuff. So again, what does this world look like for those that are up and coming and want to be independent artists? So we're going to start. I'm going to let my two guests talk about where they come from, how they've been doing things. I will say that I do know Double-R, so because we've been friends since 2009. I want to say
9-10.
2009, and I always remember him. And I was talking about this the other day. I don't know if you remember this, but we went to AIU together, and he was in undergrad. I was in a master's program. And I was getting ready to move. I had just moved here, and I was getting ready to move, and I kind of waited till the last minute because I didn't know where I was going. And I remember we were cool, and I was like, okay, I got to move today. So I got the U-Haul, and everybody was busy except him. And he came and moved me from my apartment. Me and him moved from my apartment in Vinings to Marietta, which I'm still in that same complex, not in that same apartment. And I will never forget it. I don't forget stuff like that. So he's here because we cool like that. And he has some really great things coming up. So I definitely want to give him the space to talk about it. Because like I said, I don't forget loyalty. And when you help me move at the last minute, and I just moved to Atlanta, yeah, I can't forget something like that. So tell him about yourself.
So my name is Double-R, from Florida. Been doing this music thing for like a long time, independently, songwriter, producer, engineer, rapper. Getting ready to release my first studio album called Can I Borrow a Dollar? No slight to the common album, Can I Borrow a Dollar? So we're going to spell it different. It's going to be Can I Borrow a Dollar Sign? But yeah, I just been working, man, just grinding and learning what to do, learning how to be a better songwriter, learning how to be a better rapper, learning how to keep integrity and still make good music. Because that's a journey in itself, which is a plug to my second album, Journey of a Dollar. But, yeah, just learning how to be, like, a better person through the music, because a lot of people pay attention to that. They don't necessarily get to see who you are firsthand, so all they get is the music. And if you can kind of show them the real you through the music, they can relate, you know what I'm saying, and they'll fall in love and stay in love. versus it being a persona, and then they meet you and you like, nah, he like totally different. Like he's like totally a great guy. And I would rather be that already. I would rather you already know I do have integrity. I do stand for something. I do talk the way I talk because I'm from where I'm from, and this is the way it sounds because that's the way we sound. And then you understand that, and you kind of get a better look at where I come from, how I grew up, what I did to get here, and then what I'm trying to get to. So that's definitely what we're doing. And shout out to Ricardo because it's definitely been like a decade. Like,
yeah, you're one of the few people that actually know a lot about where I've come from and stuff of that magnitude. So yeah, it's cool. All right, sir.
All right. So a little bit about me. Born in Flint, Michigan, raised in Benton Harbor, Michigan. Moved down to Georgia in 2010. That's when I started doing music. Started acting 2015. Currently celebrity judge at the Royal Peacock. Business partner of YOD Cars. They help manufacture and produce my cards. A&R at Universal Music Group. I think that's everything in a nutshell.
I've heard your spill. You sure? Because you know you have like 50 things
Yeah.
on your roster.
You want me to keep going?
No. All right. So moving along. All right. So let's talk about music. And I guess my first question out the gate, because you two, so Vigilante, you're 23, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Double-R, you're what, 29?
29.
All right. So we're talking about a good little generation gap. So, and actually, I'm going to let Ron, when I throw this out here, I'm going to let him start. So let's talk about music in general, because I guess my question is, would you guys classify yourself as rappers, hip-hop artists? How would you classify yourself? I guess that's my first question. Your music. How would you classify your music? Is it rap? Is it hip-hop?
I'm a hip-hop artist, but I rap, like, very well. Like, rapping isn't what this thing is called. Like, hip-hop is what it's called. Hip-hop is the lifestyle. Like, you live hip-hop, and in that you rap. Just like you would break dance or DJ or graffiti. Those are things that you do. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you go to work, your title would be manager, but you're a man. Like, that's what you are. And then you go to work and you do what you do. And hip-hop is who we are, and rap is what I do.
So hip-hop is in essence a culture.
Yes,
so
it's a culture in itself.
Okay, see, already 5 minutes in, I just learned something because I didn't know that. So rap is the skill set.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it could be labeled a skill and a talent. The problem with skill and talent, and I've read this, and Will Smith he be putting it out all the time, is that you're born with talent. Everybody's born with a talent. You're born with that. The problem is turning that talent into skill, something that is just innate. So like Kobe doing 1,000 free throws every day. I was born with talent. I'm 6'6". I'm 230. I've always been this kid. I've always been fast. I've been able to jump. I'm a cool shooter. I want to develop my talent into skill. So I want to shoot 1,000 free throws. So if I had to make 1,000 free throws, I can make 1,000 free throws. You know what I'm saying? So I want to turn the talent into skill. And
okay.
All right. That was dope. I want to say rapper, but my music has a harmonic sound to it. Like, that's how we do it, has me singing on the hook of it. So when people introduce me to people and they try to give them what I call an elevator conversation, where they just try to give the short run of who I am and what I do, when they say rapper, something in my core is like, I don't like when people call me that.
Well, that was the question. 'Cause I again, in my day, we call them rappers. Like, for individuals who are not as versed in this level of music, this style of music, we would say rappers. Like, the MC Lights, the Queen Latifahs, they were all rappers. We never tried to distinguish hip hop from rap because we didn't know any better. So we would just classify them as rappers. And I don't even think hip hop as a term had the weight that it carries now. Like, now when you say hip hop, it means a whole different thing than it did in my day, which is like, we have rappers and we have singers. That's pretty much how we divided them. Either you sang or you rapped, and then you started seeing this combination of the two as we got farther along in the music. So now there's a distinction that hip hop is this, rap is this,
but it's not really though.
I mean, for those of us that don't know music, like for me, in my head, it's like, okay, well, I don't, because when we were talking, you started throwing out names. I was like, I've heard a couple of their songs, but I don't even know how I would classify them because they don't really rap, But then you had this other category where you put Flavor Flav and all them boys in, which were hype men. I was like, but they don't exclusively do that either. So where are we putting them?
I mean, because of what hip hop is, it's like the culture of hip hop is like the black culture. So how do you describe black culture? You can't say like black culture is just this or just that or just that. No, it's everything and some more of that. So like in hip hop, you could take an artist like Mary J. Blige. How would you define her? Would you define her as R&B or hip hop?
She's R&B. She's a singer.
Hip hop soul.
Yeah.
So
Singer.
I don't think but I wouldn't put hip hop with Mary J. Blige. She's a R&B singer. That's how I would define Mary J. Blige. She's an R&B singer. Now she's done collaborations
now,
with
if you
hip hop
listen
artists.
to her first records,
Oh yeah, what's 401?
they are hip hop records.
Yeah.
And she just so happened to introduce something totally like we didn't see that. You know what I'm saying? Like Aretha Franklin wasn't rapping on 808s. I mean, singing on 808s.
Aretha Franklin is
R.I.P. Aretha Franklin. Like Luther wasn't doing that. Anita Baker wasn't doing that. So by the time you get to somebody like Mary with a voice like that, in hip hop, we look at that like she's one of the queens of hip hop and R&B because her voice was way bigger than just R&B, and that's due to the production. But when you get something that's like boom bap and you listening to the beat and then you put her voice on top of that, you know, and we have that today. She wasn't the only one. Her, Faith Evans, R&B,
yeah, especially Faith.
definitely R&B, definitely introduced a different side of R&B to a lot of people. But if you listen to those early records, those are hip hop records. But they're not exclusive, so they could play on this R&B station and on the hip hop station because of the bop, because of what you're listening to, and then your ear would agree with it because of how you're listening to it. So you get one of these, but she's singing though, so you don't even know what to do. You like, am I supposed to just like,
Sing along.
am I supposed to do this or am I supposed to go side to side?
Jam with it.
And we still have that. But I look at all of that like that is what hip hop did. It was able to introduce R&B artists to the world because of the production is hip hop. But what they bring to that production is R&B. And it kind of it catapulted into something totally great. So now we like, nah, Mary J is like, she up there with the great. She up there with like what Aretha did for R&B and soul music. That's how I look at Mary J to hip hop. Like she is the one. Everybody else that's kind of singing on beats like that, you got to thank her because she did it early, and we recognized it.
Okay.
She like a goat.
Oh, I got a question for both of you guys though. This is my first time meeting y'all. What's some of the things you guys like rap about in y'all rhymes?
Honestly, it depends on the beat and it depends on the audience. Like if you was to ask me to rap, I would ask you what kind of music you listen to so that I'll know what bag to get into. Cause I can rap about how nice my watch is better than anybody else could rap about how nice their watch is, or I could rap about the community better than anybody else could rap about the community. It just depends on what kind you like. Cause if I'm talking positively, you might like ignorance, and that might not sit with you. It just depends on the beat and who's asking me to rap for them.
All right. So what about like reality raps? Like, do we need
What's reality rap?
like talk about like the everyday struggle for a man? And
That's
stuff
what I
like
meant
that?
by the conscious stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, for me, it's one of those things like you want to know your audience, but like you want to make it what you make. And a lot of the times for me making music, when I get in the studio, it start with the production. Most songs I could write with no beat, but getting the production kind of it wouldn't sway what I say. It'll sway how I say it. So like if I tell you to shut up, but we laugh about it, it's funny. If I tell you to shut up and we don't laugh about it, it's not funny. So it's like how you view what I say is up to you. But I know due to my production, I know how to get my point across. Like I know I can't tell you, hey yo, you should go read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I can't just say that to you if that's not where you at right now. But if I say it in a bar and you like, ooh, that's cold. yo, what's the autobiography? Oh, that's a book. I bet you might Google it real quick because you don't know what it is. So it's kind of like a combination that you got to know. You don't necessarily have to know who you're talking to, but it always have to. It got to complement the beat, because you'll get some trash and you'll be like, nah, but the beat hot though.
Yeah, 'cause I be hearing artists nowadays. They be a 5 beat, but most of the time they don't be talking about nothing. So that's what made me like draw away from certain artists.
Yeah, absolutely. As time passed, production got better, and the lyrical content got worse. To me, the producers are way more talented than the artists nowadays.
Yeah, and it used to be like
It used to be in reverse.
yeah, it used to be, nah, we got Nas, but then we got Jay, and then we got now it's like
Mike Will,
nah, we
maybe.
got Mike Will,
Yeah.
and then
We got
nah,
Zaytoven.
we got, you know what I'm saying?
Timberland. Yeah.
It's always been talented producers, always. The problem is that the artist was so big that it kind of overshadowed, and now it's like the reverse, where the producers are artists now.
Yeah, that's a fact.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to this, because I want to break this down for individuals like me who we have an appreciation for music, but hip hop, rap, and stuff is not my world. So would we say that? All right, so hip hop is the culture. So hip hop is in essence the black experience. Is that what you're saying? The hip hop is the black experience. So when you get into these other genres, are they spin-offs of hip hop, or is hip hop a spin-off of them? R&B, neo soul, all those things. How does this picture come together?
I look at it like how KS1 explained it, like everything is hip hop, and hip hop is everything. So rock and roll is hip hop, soul is hip hop, R&B is hip hop, blues is hip hop, gospel is hip hop. The way that all of these things kind of spawn off another thing, like rhythm and bass, is a mixture between the what we would call blues music, but a lot of those singers were gospel singers. So you get somebody like Sam Cooke, who, like, if you listen to his gospel songs, he was a gospel singer. But then that R&B stuff, that soul, you know what I'm saying? Like, so everything kind of spawned off of things. So to me, everything is hip hop, to me. Because I look at Jimi Hendrix like that was hip hop. Like, before rap and before hip hop was hip hop, that was hip hop. James Brown is hip hop. Like, no matter how you look at it. But we put him on a pedestal as being like one of the GOATs in a genre of music that reflected the same thing that we reflect in hip hop. So we're telling our story here. He's telling his story there. The story is exactly the same. It's exactly the same.
So I have a question. So is Iggy Azalea hip hop? First album, single, any feature she was on, is she hip hop? If she claims to be.
If hip hop is, if you live hip hop, you can identify as it. A lot of people wouldn't identify Iggy Azalea as hip hop. They say, shit, culture vulture, and she this and she that. We don't know her, so we can only know what we judge people on what we see. So we see Iggy and we like, nah, cuz that ain't hip hop, cuz.
Yeah,
Cause you white and you from over there and you don't do what we do and you ain't live how we live. Well, who is to say that's not hip hop? Because if you learn her story, she came to this country broke.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and she slept in an apartment and she was broke and she had no bread, and then she got on and then she created a buzz for herself, and then she did a lot of things that we would deem, if somebody black did it, you'd be like, nah, that hip hop, cuz.
Yeah.
That's hip hop.
Yeah.
So if she identifies as hip hop, and you identify with the culture, like, identifying as hip hop is one thing. Identifying with the culture of hip hop is something totally different. Because what we live is the culture of hip hop. Going to work, getting up, your check ain't right, you got kids you got to feed, your tank on E, you go in the refrigerator, you might got one piece of bread, but you need to make a sandwich.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's hip hop.
Okay.
You can identify with that, but we might not identify you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we might not identify you. And it's kind of one of those things, like, it's a slippery slope. I personally, I like some of her music. I like all of it.
I did in the beginning.
I never liked all her music because, to me, she was a pop act that could rap. And it's a lot of those. That's not new. We've always had pop acts that could rap. But when you listen to some of her music or her early music, like her mixtape and her first album, she was rapping. We didn't necessarily like it because she's white. So that's the thing that you point to. You white and you from Australia. What the hip hop in Australia look like? Because we ain't never been there.
Right.
I live in Georgia. I ain't never been to Australia.
Can't
I ain't never seen a
identify
hip hop
it.
artist.
Yeah.
We can't identify what hip hop look like in Australia. So we don't know what we can't say that's hip hop.
Right.
And
Okay,
so
so I
if she
guess
rap, but just real quick, if she raps, but she doesn't, if anybody doesn't write, because you both write,
Yeah.
but not everybody writes necessarily just to have a rap song out. So do you have to create? Do you have to be an artist? Does an artist mean you have to write, or can you rap?
It's different. It's
enough?
different elements to the credit that's given as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if he heard one of my songs and it was really good, he would respect it. But then if my writer came in right behind me, the respect level would drop a little bit, but he could still like the song. So that's kind of how it goes. It depends on how much credit you want for it.
So are you an artist if you say you're an artist, or is there a definition? Is there a concrete? This is what makes you an artist.
It's
Period.
with every different person, they got different things of it. They got different.
In hip hop, you would expect, like we say, yo, Biggie wrote all his rhymes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, he a GOAT. All right. When you learn that Smokey Robinson was writing 80% of the lyrics for Motown, do you look at any of those people less than GOATs? I don't look at Marvin like he's not a GOAT. We knew what he did.
And I'm a fan of the Temptations.
I look at the Temptations are GOATs as a group. GOATs, all of them.
But I guess to follow that credit, that same line of questioning, is there an expectation of a hip hop artist? Are you expected to be able
In
to
the
write,
hip-hop
produce?
genre, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
Not produce, but just write.
in hip hop, like for me, and I might not be right, but I think that hip hop created the ghostwriter. Like in my opinion.
All right, when you use terminology, you got to explain.
So,
I
like-
vaguely know what that means.
So like the ghostwriter would be like, I got a song, right? I'm the star. You're the guy that wrote that. I'm rapping it. I'm on stage. I'm lyrical, spiritual. I'm doing that. And then it come out like, oh nah, my man's Ricardo wrote that. Who is Ricardo? What he ain't got no credit on the album.
Right.
You got paid for doing it, right?
Behind the scenes.
You're getting the credit when we talking about getting a residual check,
BMI.
but you don't get the credit on the credits. You don't get the credit
you're
to
not
the
on the
public.
album.
You're not on the back of the CD case.
Oh,
You're not
okay.
there.
So you're not that guy. You're the ghost.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what you look like. We've never seen you, but you getting a check though.
You Quentin Miller.
And you probably signed an MDA, so you can't tell anybody that that's what you're doing, because we gotta keep that on the low. We want our goats to be the goats.
NDA is a non-disclosure agreement for those that do not know.
So that's how hip hop looks at it. We look at it like, nah, you gotta write them bars. But like if you didn't write them bars, I can't respect you for saying that you wrote your bars.
And it goes back to identifying with the struggle too. If it's coming out of he wrote it, but it's coming out of my mouth. I'm talking about his struggle, so then I'm not validated in hip hop.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, so in the beginning, hip hop started in what would probably be called more urban communities. So moving forward, has that changed? Because we were just talking about Iggy. She's not African American, but her struggle is maybe the plight of an African American. So have we moved out of hip hop? It's just a black experience. It's an experience that is reflective of impoverished communities, more urbanized communities. Is that what we're saying?
Since hip hop is representation of the urban culture, urban people, just as a whole, we influence everything. No matter what quantity of us it is in the vicinity. It can be 10 white people and 1 black person, and all white people gonna be focused on that 1 black person that's in the room. For some reason, we have that effect. So with our culture, in music, we had that effect worldwide too. Now every pop artist wants to dress like they're in hip hop. Now all the country singers want to have a hip hop artist featured on their song, et cetera, et cetera. It's usually not the other way around. Hip hop doesn't really reach out to other genres to pull them in. The other genres come and pull the hip hop artists in. That's why Cardi B is featured on Girls Like You.
Yeah, I saw that and was like, whoa.
You see
So
what I'm
Cardi
saying?
B's on Maroon 5 track?
It's not the other way around. They come and get us because we influence everything. So Georgia Florida Line, one of my favorite groups. This Is How We Roll wasn't really that big until they put that hip hop feel to it, and then it became a bigger song. So to answer your question, we spread because they like it. They can identify with it because it's authentic. When you make music in other genres, to me, I don't feel like it's as authentic because you more so talking about something that's templated, either something that somebody wrote for you, something to be marketed. We figure out a way to market our struggle after we write the bars, not in the whole process of it. So where it's like a machine and it's like factory compacted. You get what I'm saying?
I agree with that a little bit though, not all the way. And the reason why I don't agree with it all the way is because, like I said, with R&B, you got to look at those singers like, can I believe what you said though? Like, can I believe? You know what I'm saying? Like, if What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, if you look at that, you see it's not just him with the pen. Can I believe what you saying? Superfly by Curtis Mayfield, like, if I found out somebody else put their pen on that record, can I believe what, you know what I'm saying? So it makes you, the problem with questioning pens out, like, authenticity. I can be an authentic performer. You can be an authentic writer. It's a lot of those. We've always had it in hip hop. It's always been there. But you were the ghost. Nobody knew you. Now it questions how authentic the writer and the artist are, because you wanted you either did it for something other, you did it for other than the credit. Now I don't need the credit. What the check look like though?
Right.
Is that authentic? Because then when you see the writers come out, a couple years ago nobody knew who Rico Love was.
That's a fact.
He wasn't a ghost though.
Or 7th Street.
Nobody knew who he was. Confessions, this album, that album, Move Him Out. Nobody knew who he was. And then he came out like, nah, I'm that pen.
Yeah.
You look at Usher different?
I don't, but I'm
No,
not.
I don't.
I don't look at him any different.
You know what I'm saying? So like, in hip hop, that's always been the thing. Like being authentic, having authentic flows, having a pen, being able to do this, you had to do it. When you look at people outside of outside of hip hop, the reason why they identify with it so much, because they don't know what it looked like to like live in an apartment building and it's like writing on the steps and piss in the corner and like your door don't lock all the way, so you got to put they don't know what that looked like. So we give them a glimpse into the world. Well, I don't know what it looked like to live in a trailer that leaned to the side because the brick broke. I don't know what it looked like to like not be able to cut your grass and you live in a trailer park. I don't know. So their struggle is their struggle. They can identify that they have a struggle and we have a struggle. They might not have the voice, so they identify with the person with the voice. You know what I'm saying? So it's always gonna be a debate.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
All right, so on that note, we're gonna take our first break, and when we come back, we're gonna get more into the culture of hip hop on the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
She can say in her voice, in her way, that she love me. With her eyes, with her smile, with her belt, with her hands, with her money. I am the thesis of her prayers. Her nieces and her nephews are just pieces of the layers. Only one she loves as much as me is Jesus Christ and Taylor. I got a feature song singing for my grandma. You sing it too, but your grandma ain't my grandma. Mine's handmade, pan-fried, sun-dried, southside, and beat the devil by a landslide. Praying with her hands tied. President of my fan club, Santa. Something told me I should bring my
move slowly, taking in my body like it's holy. I've been waiting for you for the whole week. I've been praying for you, you're my Sunday king. You gotta move slowly, taking in my body like it's holy. I've been waiting for you for this whole week. I've been waiting for you, you're my Sunday king. Come on in this house, it's gonna rain. Rain down time, it's gonna rain. You better come on in this house, it's gonna rain.
your peppermints is the truth. I'm pessimistic on Monday. If I had tweaked them, it's you. You look so good with the hat on, had to match with the shoe. Came in dressed in the satin, I came and sat in your pew. I come to Christmas for dinner, 50 rolls on my plate. Hella holes in my stocking, holding your pockets in place. I like my love with the budget, I like my hugs with a scent. You smell like light gas while the electricity rent. You sound like why the gospel choir got so tired. Singing this praise on a daily basis, so I gotta try it. You my dream, catch a dream team captain. Matter of fact, I ain't seen you in a minute. Let me take my butt to church.
You better come on
in this house.
It's gonna rain.
It's gonna rain.
Rain down.
Rain down.
It's gonna rain. You better come on
in this house.
It's gonna rain.
It's gonna rain.
Rain down.
Rain down.
It's gonna rain. You gotta move it slowly. Taking in my body like it's holy. I've been waiting for you for the whole week. I've been praying for you, you're my Sunday. Can
You gotta move slowly. Taking in my body like it's holy. I've been waiting for you for this whole week. I've been praying for you on my Sunday.
slowly taking in my body like it's holy. I've been waiting for you for the whole week. I've been praying for you, you're my Sunday. Come on in this house. It's gonna rain. It's gonna rain. Rain down. It's gonna rain. You better come on in this house. It's gonna rain. Rain down. It's gonna rain.
Life comes at us fast. One thing that gives us comfort is knowing that someone is there when you need them. Well, at Pleasant Hills Insurance, that's our promise to our clients. Call 770-910-7460 today or visit our website at PleasantHillsInsurance.com for your free, no obligations quote on retirement and life insurance. Many of the large agencies have turned their back on the retired workforce. At Pleasant Hills Insurance, if others can't qualify you, very often we can. Pleasant Hills Insurance proudly provides options for preconditions. So call 770-910-7460 or visit PleasantHillsInsurance.com today for your free, no obligations quote on retirement and life insurance. Pleasant Hills Insurance, we're here when you need us.
Hey everybody, it's Ricardo D. Rice from the Leadership Blend, simplifying your leadership. All right, everybody, we're back on this Friday's edition of the Leadership Blend with your host Ricardo D. Rice and my correspondent
Simone Cherie.
Ronald Newton.
and our guest.
Double-R.
Vigilante.
All right, so when we left, we were starting to unravel this whole hip-hop culture, this whole hip-hop. I don't want to call it a debacle, but for some of us who don't know it, it is a debacle because now we really are trying to decipher what is hip-hop, what is rap, what is it? What are we dealing with? What is it? So when we left, we were talking about that, and we hit a point. So we got into authenticity. So we were talking about writers versus performers, the marriage that they're supposed to have, all that good stuff. So that leads us to the present. So I will use the current beef with Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, which is probably really not a beef, but people will get that started just to get things going. I personally think the issue with these two is, I can speak from experience. I did not like Cardi B. I had watched, my guilty pleasure is loving hip hop. There you have it, everybody. I said it on the air. My guilty pleasure is loving hip hop. Yes, I watch Love and Hip Hop. So they introduced Cardi's character, and I'm just like, this girl cannot be this annoying every day, all day. This can't be who she is. And then she made references to her Instagram, so I went and looked at her Instagram. I was like, wow, this is really who this young lady is. And then I respected her for being authentic. And then her music comes out, and I'm just like, wow, she really does want to rap and things of that magnitude. I also saw an interview that Mona Scott Young, who is the producer and pretty much owns the Love and Hip Hop franchise, and she told the backstory. And that's when I really respected Cardi, because she said what happened was they saw Cardi on Instagram, and they went to her and asked her to be on Love and Hip Hop. She said, I'll do one season because I really want to do music. So she did the one season, and then she came to them and said, I want to do one more season. She did the second season, and then she blew up. I respected it because I was like, she understood going in what she was trying to accomplish. And she did just that. So when you look at Nicki Minaj, I remember when she first came out, she's wearing all these crazy outfits. She has this hair. She's rapping with voices and all this good stuff. I'm just like, I don't think this is really who she is. So I never got into Nicki Minaj. Do I own a couple of her songs? Yeah. But would I buy a Nicki Minaj album? No, because to me there's no authenticity there. Because like you said when we were on a break, Vigilante was saying she made the movie Barbershop. I think it was Fresh Cuts or something, and completely different persona. Like she was just an average. If I saw her in the street, I wouldn't know that was Nicki Minaj. If I heard her and didn't see her, I wouldn't know that was Nicki Minaj because that's not who she presented to us when she first came out. So how does that carry? Like, how do we think? How much the authenticity account in the world of hip hop and rap?
Man, it's oh my God. I say it's 90%.
I wouldn't even say it's that much now.
Oh, you talking about right now? Or are you talking about in general?
Well, let's talk about in the beginning versus now.
Oh, in the beginning it was 100%.
100%.
That was 100 back then.
So you had to actually live those experiences to be able to be respected in the hip hop community.
What you had to be,
or just be able to write about it.
To be taken serious.
To be taken serious, yeah.
Because you got to think hip hop was like it was dance music early.
Yeah.
It was you get the
hip hop locking in.
Who could rock the crowd the best.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's
what
it was about.
Hip hop started like DJ MC. So you have to be able to keep your crowd engaged.
Call and response.
And then it turned into, hold on, like the DJ is cool, but now the MC got something else to say.
I got something to say.
And then it grew from there. And the being able to talk about your experiences was different then. So you had like Run DMC, but Run DMC's rhymes weren't like LL Cool J's rhymes. We talking about 85. Those rhymes are totally different. LL like a goat. They're goats also, but when you're talking about like lyrically, it's not close. And then you got somebody like Ice Cube, goat with the pen. They talking about the exact same thing, but lyrically it sounds so different. That used to be exclusive to your authenticity. How was your pen?
Creative styles.
You know what I'm saying? How was your pen?
So how do we fit in the NWAs and the Public Enemies who actually had a political message trying to change the outlook of these communities?
Because to them it wasn't political. It was like
that was just a regular rap.
We really getting beat up.
Yeah.
We really getting stomped out. They really pulling out guns on us at shows in public. No, F the police.
That's it.
They felt like that. And it's different when if that's how you feel, that's cool. Like that, it's not authentic for you to see some like, yo, I'm gonna talk about this thing today because it's on the news. Because then you just popularize a problem. You're not talking about the actual problem. Like we got problems. Yeah, we got a lot of problems. All right, you ain't had problems last year. You ain't had problems on your last album. You ain't had problems like early. You ain't had problems on your single. So now it make me question like, you really got a problem? Because last year you ain't had no problem. You know what I'm saying? And for them, then, no, they really had real life problems. And you got it in the music, so you felt it. You don't necessarily feel the music now.
They was channeling it through their music so they wouldn't do anything physically. That was their release through the music.
So what makes hip hop music resonate so much now versus, I mean, it did then, but now it really, I was watching a commercial the other day, and the song that was playing with the commercial was straight hip hop rap. I didn't even know who it was, but I knew it was a hip hop beat because of the way it sounded. I was like, how did we get here? Like, and I think it was like a Sprint commercial. It wasn't like,
yeah, that's what they do.
It wasn't even a Sprint commercial. It was like it was like a Sprint commercial, an actual mainstream business that had like a hip hop sound to it. So I was like, how did it resonate to this point that we're at now? That it can go so many places and has gone so many places. I was in a room the other day with some non-African American kids, and they just start bumping rap music. Well, what I would deem rap music, hip hop music, and I'm just like, and the assumption was that I would be able to know this music. So they're looking at me going, oh, so I don't even know who it was. I know Chance the Rapper, so it wouldn't be him. It was one of these, I would call him off the walls because I don't know him. And it was like, oh, you don't know such and such. And I mean, they were rapping the lyrics and they were going, and I'm just like, no, I do not.
One of the Lils.
Yeah, it's just like, but the assumption was that I should have that experience and be able to relate to it and jump in with them because it has resonated with them. So what has made hip hop resonate so strongly now?
The energy. It's all energy now. It's almost to the point, and I can't say it's there yet, but it's very close to what we saw in like the early 2000s, where it wasn't. There were pockets of like music, but it was a large bag of energy. And that's not necessarily to like boo-boo on a lot of the energy, but you got a lot of, especially in the South. Yeah. It's always been like dance, and we've had messages. It's always been somebody with a message, but this the South, clubs, the girls.
I'm talking about turning up.
The strip clubs. Yeah. It's always been energy, and that energy, it goes this way. Energy goes this way. Yeah. It don't like go like. In it, when you got like it's a science. So like when an atom explodes, it's like this. When a star explodes, the debris go everywhere, and that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the debris of hip hop go everywhere, and it's turning everything into hip hop. The 1-800-411 commercial, it's a rap now.
Yeah, an auto-tune rap.
Like it's a rap.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all think that's a good thing? Does that mean hip hop has grown if the energy's gone this way, or does it mean that it's not authentic anymore? Because when it gets bigger and it's a business and there's a business model, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing, but I think that if there's any lapse in authenticity or the watered downness of where it's going, is because the artists of nowadays don't respect their own craft. So the people who watch it from the outside looking in go, oh, they don't respect it, so how come I can't get in the studio and do a rap? So back in the day, if they tried that 411 commercial with the Cube in them, they'll be running down the street for their life. But now they can do that because it's like, oh yeah, we do that, so y'all do that too. Matter of fact, let me get a verse on that.
I kind of think it's like more catchy though. Like now with the rap and the 411 commercial and stuff like that. Like at first they was boring. You actually pay attention to how the commercials were.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Nobody ain't
1-800-411.
Yeah, nobody finna call that.
They go back to what he was saying, trying to create that energy. The same energy they hear in the music, they trying to create that for their commercial.
So now when I hear it in the car, I be like, I ain't getting no accident, but hey,
I might
call y'all anyway.
And they using songs that you know. They using songs that like resonated with us at the time.
Yeah. And
they bringing it back, so they're creating memories, like recreating a memory in your head, and then slipping in their information. So like. Nah, you get into an accident? Yeah. And you like, hold up, lean with it. Right, you know, but that's what you hearing, but it's a commercial. And to answer your question more direct, I personally, hip-hop in general has always been big business. It's always been a big business, but hip-hop wasn't popular. It's always been business because everybody that kind of are the goats in the industry, as you would call them, like industry goats. Like a lot of these guys were doing other stuff. They came from other genres of music. Those are the executives in our industry. So it's always been big business. We've always been able to do that. But now they don't have to pay you to be you. You know what I'm saying? I can literally give you like, look, we about to cut a little pub check for you real quick, and we gonna take your likeness and use your music, use your hit song, use it in the commercial. But we gonna remake the beat. We not gonna use the original beat, and we not gonna pay you to be in the commercial. So we not gonna help your career. We just gonna take something that people remember. So like you would have the one commercial, take a song, put the song in the background, but remade it and have somebody else rap it. And then you would have another company to say, oh no, Pastor Troy, we're going to use you and your song. So get on my level. We're going to put that in a song, and we're going to put you in the commercial with it. 20 years ago, you got to put Cube in the commercial if you're going to use his music. You got to put Pop in the promo. You got to put these people in the promo because they was busting heads. Like I've been in situations where these companies say, hey, we want you to write a song that's similar to this song that people remember. Can you do that? Yeah, I'm a songwriter. I could do that. All right, we need you to produce it too, but it needs to sound exactly like the song, but we don't want to get sued. So we're going to give you $1,500 to create a song that you would pay these folks, companies, $75,000 to use.
Yeah.
When you think about it, you like, nah, I'm getting jugged, right? But at $1,500, you know what I'm saying? And then you're gonna get a couple dollars every time that commercial play. So are you gonna question it? Now, yeah, I might do it. Then, nah, you got to give us that 75,000. So they jugging the industry. They jugging. This is jug
So I
season.
guess the question becomes, has it become so much of a business that's why the artistry has gone down? Because I can sell out and make this money right now, and then if I make it, then I may talk about, hey, you know, I had to sell out and blah blah blah. This is what's wrong with the industry. But in that moment, I needed that check, so I'm willing to sell out my artistry just to get my name on the map.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's a huge problem.
That's the artist's fault,
That's a
though.
huge problem. It's the artist's fault. This man nuts. Yeah, that's a huge problem. Like, I don't know him. I've never heard any of his music. Since we both at this station, if my music was trash but it was on the radio, his music was trash but it was on the radio, our execs behind us would be like, they need to do a song together so that we can get both of their energy together on one track. Let's pay the producers minimum. Let's try to steal all the energy that they got and do this with the promo ad wise. Yeah. Don't tell them, but they stealing our energy. And they want us to do it just as a business. They don't care if I'm good or if he good. They don't even care how the track turn out. They just care if it get a lot of views and if it resonate with people somewhat enough to where they can sell their ad. That's the business.
So in essence, we almost regressed to where we were in the old days where they were taking black music and whitewashing it. You know, they were saying that Elvis Presley was had vibrations of I forgot the lady's name. She was in the black community. She was big, but in mainstream,
he did
she
it
was
to
nobody.
a lot of people. He did it to Little Richard. He did it to James Brown. I mean, you saw the moves. We saw him do the moves. Now they doing it with us. So they taking black artists and say, "Yo, we know you rap good, but like, don't do that. Do this. We do this because this working." 40 years ago, Motown wasn't like, "Hey Marvin, so look, we need you to do what Elvis doing. We need you to stand up and do some dance moves. We don't need you to sing to the ladies all the time. Just do a bunch of pelvic thrusts."
Because that's what he doing is working for him.
Just give me a bunch of pelvic thrusts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they blackwashing it. They taking what's bad. They taking what's working, and then telling us that that's good. And it's not always like that. Like,
that was a dope way to put it. Yeah, blackwashing it. They trying to create a template, a package. Like, this is the way that the hip hop artist is supposed to do. This is what's selling. So even though you're not like that at all, this is what Vigilante's doing. Do this.
Make it like this, and we're gonna give you a big old check.
Yeah.
A big old check.
That's real. That's why I haven't signed yet.
All right. So what makes an artist decide to be independent? Because both of you are independent. So what made you decide, especially, is it solely about your artistry? Because aren't you selling a little something to not be on the level, or maybe it's a little harder to get on those levels because you're not backed by a major label who's willing to incur the upfront costs of your album or of your concerts and of your tours and things of that magnitude. So what makes an artist want to be an independent artist?
It ain't necessarily what make you do that. A lot of the times that's the situation that you're in. Like, you're not, I ain't make you stay where you was staying at. That's just where you was staying at. You know what I'm saying? Like, you when you grew up, you didn't have a choice where you lived at. Your mom was like, "Nah, this is where we staying at." And then you was like, "But mom, it's roaches on the floor, so kill it."
Yeah.
So most independent artists are waiting to be signed, is what you're saying.
Most independent artists are looking for it.
Probably not anymore, but
they looking for the bag.
Yeah,
they're not looking for the deal.
They're
not
looking for the
bag.
deal. They're looking for the money.
Okay.
And if it just so happened that the deal come with the money,
then they'll sign. And deals are a lot shorter now too. They used to be a long span. That's why people used to be set down for a long time. Now it's like they'll sign you for a single or just distribution or just a year or two, and then it go on your way.
All right, so let's stay there because, again, these are terminologies that people say all the time, but those of us that are looking from the outside in, we don't know what that means. So explain distribution. I mean, I know it's how your music is out there, but when they say I have a distribution deal, what does that mean?
Exactly what it sounds like.
Well, it doesn't sound like anything to me.
So it sounds like I produce my music, I record my music, I lay my music, I engineer my music, I give my music to a person or a company that would increase. Technically, it's basically like if you sign a deal, you would get everything plus distribution. So you would get tour, promotion, radio, advertising, marketing. Those dollars plus distribution.
You would be promised those.
Plus distribution.
You get it, but you would be
distribution deals is just, we're going to put your music here, 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 and here, 150 countries, on this many platforms, and that's it. Everything else is on you.
Yep.
And that's technically the difference between doing distribution deal and doing label deal is the things that they incur your marketing, promotions, radio.
So it's the advances.
Everything you have to pay for, the label would pay for,
So that's
and
the
put the
advances
music
for.
out.
They'll give you an advance, and then they'll expect it back on the back end if you get a 360. Every label deal is different.
Yeah, apparently. So I've heard distribution deals. Then I guess there's the label deals where they actually incur the cost for everything. And I guess they kind of sit down with you and do a cost benefit analysis. Okay, well, and I guess the next question becomes, how much has social media changed this equation?
Everything.
Because at one time it was, okay, well, we're going to sit down with you. We think you could be a great artist. So we feel like if we put all the money behind you, you'll bring in X amount of dollars. So we're going to advance.
That conversation is so different now.
Oh, that's gone. That conversation is completely gone.
It's like, yo, Vigilante, you super popular right now. You want to make music?
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't think about it, but I think I could rap.
Yeah.
So let me ask a question. What makes you independent then to say you're independent? Is it because you have no labels? Is it because you own your own? If you start your own, does that make you independent? If you have a small deal here or there, are you independent? If you have a manager, can you still call yourself independent? If you have a team behind you, are you still independent as long as you're not technically on a contract?
If you or the people that you work with incur the cost of doing this.
So who put the money up?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, it's only a few labels, and then off those labels are other labels. So like 300 and Empire, or like labels over here, label over there, and then it's like UMG, Sony, Warner Brothers. Those are like the major joints, and then you got Def Jam, Universal. You got all these little whatevers.
All right.
I ain't signed to none of them. So Double-R is gonna put the money up. I'm independent. I got a team. I got a manager. You know what I'm saying? I got people that I work with. I got my own producers, my own studio. But I got to incur that cost. The only thing that I don't have to physically incur all the costs for is distribution. And that's because physicals have fizzled out.
Right.
Because it's digital now.
Talking about digital.
So everything is digital. So it's so cheap because of the internet to release music. I can literally release whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. And I incur very little cost because I don't have the radio, I don't have promotion, I don't have the marketing dollars. You're not going to see me as much, so it's just me. That technically explains what independent artist does. But there are independent labels, so artists be like, I'm independent, but I'm signed to an independent label. Who incurs the cost?
Is it hard for
Wait, so is that a question or is that the answer?
No, that's the answer. Who incurs the cost? So are you actually independent, signed to an independent label? Would be the question. Because that sounds like what you're saying. Are you if you're signed to an independent label, does that make you independent?
So how do you define an independent label? What is an independent label?
If the independent label incurs the cost, then you are now signed to an independent label. You're no longer an independent artist. You're now with an independent label.
And then independent labels
signed to major labels.
It usually imply that the label itself doesn't have a deal with the major label. So they incur the cost. And they might go through a major label for distribution without having the major label incur the cost. Of the label itself.
Cash Money Records is under Universal. If Cash Money leaves Universal, they're now an independent label because Birdman and Slim owns that. So.
And they have very unique deals. So their deal is very unique to the Master P deal, the 90-10 split. So I incur all the costs and put all the money up. So when all the money come back, I only have to pay you for distribution.
Yeah.
So why Birdman shipping with his Carter 5 then?
Oh, we don't see. Yeah.
See, that's
tricky.
We still waiting on answers.
Yeah. And at the end of October, I'll be signing a deal with BU Digital. That's a digital indie label, and they'll be occurring the cost. And the reason that I know that I'm signing with them is because I'll be on salary instead of me getting paid, hopefully, from what possibly could come back. Now I got a guaranteed payout every month from what I can for what I can offer to them, and that's for 2 years. And then for that entire 2 years, I'll be getting paid by them and shop to the majors. So then after that, I have the opportunity to either renew for more or go to the majors.
So, Ricardo, can we ask what that journey looks like? Because you mentioned a little bit that you've been acting for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And then we talked about social media, we talked about merch. I feel like there's so many different, when you say you're an independent artist, your journey could look so different from somebody else's. Can we talk about, like, okay, so what is somebody's approach supposed to be? Is it supposed to be, I'm going to be a social media influencer, I'm going to focus on all these platforms, I'm going to gain a following? Does it mean that, no, I'm grassroots, I'm underground, I'm going to live in clubs, I'm going to go from place to place to place, I'm going to spread the word like that? Does it mean that I'm going to act, or I'm going to model, I'm going to do this or that, make some change? Does it mean I'm going to have a 9 to 5 and spend all night working on my craft? Like, what does that look like?
So let me ask a question to lead into that, to get it, because I know exactly where you're going. So let's ask, I guess the question becomes, when you were a hip-hop artist, you were a hip-hop artist. Mm-hmm. That was the expectation. That's what you did. Mm-hmm. Now it seems like that has changed. So because I'm a hip-hop artist, I'm expected to do other stuff. So when I think of Ludacris, and I had this conversation with a millennial, they didn't even realize that Ludacris was a rapper because they've seen him in so many movies. So it was like, well, Ludacris is an actor. No, Ludacris is primarily a rapper. He just ventured into other stuff, and even merchandising. Now, there's an expectation. I guess is that what we would deem commercial is now the expectation. Because when we said commercial, it was like, oh, well, you do movies, you do merchandising. That was commercial. Mm-hmm. When you said a hip-hop artist, we expect you to make great music, to impact your communities, so on and so forth. Has that world merged now? So can you be commercial and be a hip-hop artist and be successful at the two?
It hasn't merged. The industry is shrinking.
Right. Social media had a big impact on that.
The industry is shrinking. This digital internet market is shrinking the industry. Mm-hmm. So you went from 30 labels, like 30 major labels, and everybody had to check, mm-hmm. to now it's looking like 4 or 5 labels left. And then a couple of indie labels, and then a couple of labels that look like the industry is shrinking. Mm-hmm. It's shrinking so much that you yourself have to shop yourself as talent. So I'm signed to a major label, but now when I'm out, I see a director. My goal ain't to be in your movie. But because the music industry is shrinking so much, I don't make as much money off music. I have to do other things. Mm-hmm. So I have to act. I have to make clothes. I have to do the shoe deal. I gotta go where this, like, it's becoming that. It's such a business. Like, it went from big business to only business. Mm. And that's what it's turning into. It's turning into only business. So your music is business.
That's a business.
Your clothes is business. Yeah. What you wear, when you wear it, and how you wear it is business. So instead of you having a stylist to be like, nah, I think this look will look good today, now they saying, nah, wear this brand so this brand can hopefully cut a check today. Mm-hmm. It's not like I'm gonna wake up, yo, I like this shirt, this a dope shirt, this a PGA joint, PGA tour joint with the joint on the joint, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm feeling extra, I'm saucy today. It's not that. No. Now it's like, now you gotta wear that, because these folks is about to pay us.
Yeah. Okay, so in other words, because the music industry is shrinking, you have to find other outlets by which to make money and get yourself out there.
Yeah. And hip hop artists don't necessarily change what they do, they expand what they do. Because if Ludacris changed it, he wouldn't be doing music anymore, he would just be acting. So he expanded from rapping and hip hop to acting. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then to answer your question about the influencers, it all goes hand in hand. Now that we have social media, you have no choice but to be an influencer because you are an influence. So everything that you named as far as going to the club, do you need a social media presence? Do you need this, that, acting, this, that? It all goes hand in hand to fuel all the same thing. So like when people ask me about my acting versus my music, that's still fueling Vigilante's career as a whole. Going back to what he said about the music industry being this and then everything else being that business around it. It fuels that person. When people ask you about the one thing that you do or the one of the things that you do, that's what they like you for and know you for. So that one entity is where they want you to stay. But you can't stay there, so you're not gonna be able to please them forever. Which goes back to you having your own fan base on Instagram, because now you got a bunch of other people to please too.
And if you got your own fan base, you instead of me building a fan base on Vigilante's fan base, because like you have to look at it like something that you build. You don't build a house from the top down. You build it from the bottom up. So the foundation that you lay first helps everything else to stand. So for me, music is my foundation, but it's also my first floor. So everything on my first floor is music. And then my steps is music. And then my master bedroom is music. And my office is music. But like I might got like a guest room that might be like acting or fashion.
Oh, these cards.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or I might got like a second bedroom or a guest house that's something else. Or my garage might be this. But the foundation is you tell people what you do as it identifies to them. So if you're a director and then you ask Vigilante if he, so what do you do exactly? Oh, well, I'm an actor, musician. Yeah. You wouldn't tell them that your foundation was, you're a director. Yeah, I act. Oh, you act? Okay, send me some, the conversation might not even be that long. Send me something that you do. Cool.
Real short.
And then you walk away because you introduced the thing that he's looking for first. So when people ask me what I do music. That's what I do. That's the focus right now. I haven't taken any acting classes. Somebody threw me in something, that'd be cool. But hey, Double-R, what do you do? I'm an artist. Okay, so what do I do? I songwrite, I produce, I rap. All right, cool. You introduce yourself as the thing that you did first. I was a songwriter first. I started producing, then I started rapping. He's an actor. He's an artist. The artistry itself has a lot of it's like artistry and then that drop down. So like you click it and then it's a drop down and then in every drop down it's a drop down.
Yeah.
But I guess if we're looking at that, if that's become the new model, then where are we headed artistry-wise with music? Because if the expectation and because the industry is shrinking so much, you can't just be a musician. What does that say about the artistry? Like, then people are going to continue to give and feed into this machine to feed the machine.
Artist. It depends on the artist. So it depends on how you anticipate or how the industry anticipates an artist will live.
Meaning,
if Vigilante released a song today, and I'm the label, all right, this is how we're gonna put a $250,000 budget behind that song. So say he's an artist signed to a label, we're gonna budget music to put behind a song, which happens in the industry. One song, not an album, one song. We're gonna make that song live in spaces where it wouldn't necessarily live. So we're gonna put it everywhere. We're gonna market it to Sprite commercials and this commercial, and we're gonna cut the budget for them so they can pay to license the song, and then we're gonna put it in places that it wouldn't necessarily be, and we're gonna push it. We're gonna push it. We're gonna push. We're gonna put him in places he wouldn't necessarily be. So now we got this guy. He out. He making his music. He got this song that's popping. You looking at him like, yo, this dude might be here for a long time, just because that's the buzz. The song is so big and it's lived so long that you would anticipate that he has the staying power. They didn't put the money behind him. They put the money behind the song.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm disposable to them.
Okay, so in essence, this is dramatically changed because that used to be the ideology behind an album, that they put that kind of money behind an album because we can shop all these singles from this album and put the shelf life on this album for 2 or 3 years because we keep throwing out singles.
Because the artist copies too. The artist has staying power.
But now it's the opposite. So we don't really need you. We just need you to create a song that can fester.
That's what it's starting to look like.
Yeah,
it's starting
that's
to
the
look
direction
like
it's going in. Single deals. And strictly distribution deals. The major label deal in about 6-7 years will be gone. That's not gonna be there no more.
It's probably only gonna be 360s and single deals.
Yes, it.
But then I guess that poses the question: if it's that simple to not even invest in an artist and just really invest in a single, why is the industry shrinking? Because they could be able to spend less money.
Social media, it got them scrambling. If I got 1 million followers and he got 1 million followers, and you Universal and you Sony, and y'all need somebody to keep y'all label afloat, y'all got to come to us with the deal. We don't have to go to y'all. That's why y'all got to shrink. You might go bankrupt and you might have to partner with her. Now you're gone. That's 2. Now you won. And then now you about to start scrambling too, because now you picking up his debt. And y'all need to find somebody fast. And we don't need y'all.
And then it's making the whole, it's teetering the industry, because if he got 1 million followers, I got 1 million followers, y'all 2 labels, y'all become 1 label, but I was talking to 1 label, he was talking to the other label. Mm-hmm. Everybody at this label get fired.
Yep.
So everybody at his label that he's going to go to now got to deal with me. But they don't know nothing about me because I was talking to the other label, but everybody from the other label left except for 1 person.
So dealing with that jumble, you go, damn, I got 1 million. I can sustain my penthouse, my cars, this, that. All I needed y'all for was the push. I'm about to go do a consultation with Interscope and pay for them to show me how to do the push. After that, I'm good. I'm by myself.
Jesus.
So it's creating a space that, you remember the match wheels, the little cars, Matchbox cars, and you remember when you used to build a ramp and the ramp would go like this? It used to look like that. Mm-hmm. Now pieces of that ramp are being taken out because I don't necessarily need to get to that level now. Mm-hmm. Where you used to go up the ramp and you get off and go this way. I don't have to go that way now. Because I got a following that's so strong. I got a base that's so strong that instead of me having to drive up to the label got to drive down.
Right.
And now they're losing pieces of their ramp because internet and social media. So if I got 500,000 followers and he got 1 million followers, all we got to do is do a song together. And we independent. 2 independents do a song together. Now he got 1.5 and I got 1.5.
That's why everybody in Atlanta do music with each other.
All the producers work with each other.
Yeah.
Everybody get a bag. So you might see 7 producers on 1 song.
Good grief.
Mm-hmm. And then they build up another one. That 7th one might be a new one that they just trying to bring up. So now he getting the bag too.
So if you're, just to ask about that, so if you're trying to start, if you are an independent artist, if you're new, if you just want to start, is your first thing need to be, okay, well, how many branches can I spread myself over?
No.
Do I need to write? Do I need to rap? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? Or do you need to do one thing and focus on one thing?
Start with one. Start with one and learn how to home in on that. If you produce, you need to figure out which DAW, digital audio workstation, works best for you. What kind of producing do you do? Because marketing is everything. You have to be able to market yourself. If I do certain type of beats that he don't rap to, he's not going to buy any beats from me. So I have to figure out what type of artist I'm trying to seek with my production. And then once I start getting efficient in that, then I can spread my wings to be like, okay, now I got, these beats are dope. Let me get a logo and put it on my shirt. And then you go there, and then you branch. And then a company might come to you like, okay, we want to distribute those for you. Okay, bet. Now I'm doing distribution. But I'm still producing though. All of this branch from producing. That's
so
how,
what
that's
is the top? Is it, okay, if it used to be, okay, well, you have a 5-album deal right here.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have a $10 million deal right here. Or whatever the shelf life was then. If it's smaller now, what's making it now? If I have 1 million followers, am I good now? Is that money now? Or how does it work? Where's the top? Or where do you know how to stop? How do you know if you're successful as an independent artist versus if you just are an independent artist?
Everything now, because of the internet, everything is monetized. Everything. Like they trying to, the problem with the industry is trying to figure out how much money can we monetize it for. So like when artists complain about not being paid from YouTube or the payouts is low, well if you do two and what I said the group did 203 million, and then if $1 million is around maybe between $5,000 and $7,000 for $1 million, you do 203. You do 203 times 7. That's how much money you made. So it's not like a whole lot of money. So you probably if you do 2 million on 203 million views, if I sold 203 million albums, you be looking at me like I got the bag. But I got 1 million followers. If I can sell 50,000 copies to 1 million people, I'm straight. I don't necessarily need 1 million sales because I'm independent. So now I can say for 50,000 people that I touched, I got the bag.
So I guess to follow with Simone's line of questioning, I guess it's about the gauge. So we talked about this before the show started about gauging. So, because I have friends that have 15,000 followers on Instagram, but they have music out. They're nowhere on the charts, but you have 15,000 people that you're supposedly engaging, but it's not translating into money. So how does that work? Because, I mean, people will instantly ask you how many followers do you have on Instagram. That's a fact. And, you know, you go, well, I got 15,000 followers, but it doesn't translate to any money because I've had 3 albums out and I'm independent and I have 15,000 followers, but I can't get any of them to buy anything, but they click like on my Instagram and I have 1,000 and so likes on everything that I post.
It's funny because labels do ask you that.
It's not just labels. Businesses will ask you that.
Yeah. How many followers you got?
Businesses will ask you that.
How many friends you got on Facebook?
That was big leverage in this deal right here.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily translate into dollars. So where does that even come in? That you have, because you have 15,000 followers on Instagram, but we know that doesn't translate into immediate money. I'm trying to figure out how does that work?
Bridge the gap?
Yeah, where's that bridge at?
The gap is bridged when you get mainstream promotion. That's when the gap is bridged. When you touch mainstream radio, and when you do a mainstream feature, somebody, I don't want to say have to, I'm going to say 70% of the time, somebody else got to validate you. Something else has to validate you in order for that to be, it's kind of like when you get that blue check on Twitter and on Instagram. Somebody got to do that for you in real life. They got to stand next to you, they got to validate you, or they got to tweet it out, or they got to do this to show people that it's real, you should be paying attention to this. Those 15,000 people may want to listen to your song, may want to buy whatever you selling, but you are not validated yet.
Until Drake get on the album.
So you can get to him. I mean,
yeah.
And that's just one person. It could be Nipsey, it could be this person, it could be that person, it could be this, it could be that. It's rare that we have a Tekashi type of thing where you don't need a cosign from nobody.
Who?
Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
So
okay, carry on.
Basically what he's saying is, like,
y'all know I'm not this new stuff.
The time of validation is almost gone. Like, it's almost gone. The problem that even with that statement is that there's still a level of validation. So the time of like having the big star, having to make the small star relevant, that's gone now. So it doesn't take a big star to make a small star shine.
It takes the people, which is the validation of social media.
People used to not be able to do that until they saw it. Mm-hmm. So you would have to see it stand next to something first. You would have to see it physically. You would have to see it on a shirt, or have to see the show before you could be like, you know what? Nah, I like that.
I'm gonna rock with it now, yeah.
Now it's just like, you don't even gotta know him. Dang, this video hard. Who this here? Mm-hmm. You asking the question, who is it, but you like it already. Mm-hmm. Now I don't need the person above me that's already popping to say, yo, my man's popping. You don't gotta do that now. So the effect of the people is a lot larger. Like, when you had to physically buy albums, it had some effect. Now, without you selling albums, you can sell albums. You see what I'm saying? So like somebody like 50 Cent. 50 Cent got 20 million followers on Instagram. He don't have to ever sell another album. And his last album didn't even, I think it didn't even go gold. His last album didn't go gold. But for the numbers that he was expecting to do it as an independent, if you do 50,000 and you spent 50,000, then you made 500,000. Yeah. Because that's $10. You made 500,000. Now you're able to build on that 500,000 and say, yo, Power come on Sunday. It's not like I'm selling this liquor now. I'm selling these draws now. Like, it went from I needed a label to tell people that I sold stuff to now I can just tell you that I sell stuff. And you can buy directly from me. Instead of having to go to, yo, I got to call Vigilante to get the Double-R, I got to get the, and then to get the, and by the time you've been on hold 30 minutes.
You don't even want to do it no more.
You don't got to do that no more. Social has created a space where everybody has a voice. Mm-hmm. Everybody don't want to listen to your voice, but everybody got one now. Big voice, small voice, 100 million followers sound like a big voice until you got to translate it into money.
Yeah.
But so that's the thing that I was gonna ask you, Ricardo, because I felt like we were talking about this a little bit, even with Cardi, with how she got on Love and Hip Hop, and even with this album that just came out. Even though Nicki was very mad about being number 2, she was mad because I guess Kylie Jenner, she felt, contributed to Travis Scott getting number 1. So it's like followers don't mean money, but when we say followers, aren't we talking about millions and millions and millions of followers?
No,
like we're not talking about 15,000 followers.
It's a difference between followers and fans.
Yeah.
She got a lot of followers.
There we go. That's where we were getting at earlier this week, because they was like, oh, when they did the Millennium Show like 2 weeks ago, we were talking about it. Well, they have a lot of fans. No. There has to be a distinction between fans and followers, because fans are ride or die. They're going to buy whatever you put out. That's a fact. Followers would just like something. They may not necessarily purchase it, but they'll follow you and keep up with what you're doing. Doesn't necessarily mean they've brought into your brand.
Yeah, followers stream music. Fans buy it. She got a lot of followers. So if you look at her streaming numbers, her streaming numbers are incredible.
That's why YouTube views are always up.
Her fans, the Barbs are followers. They're not fans. She got fans. But I don't think that if you got 30 million Barbs, I don't think that you got 30 million fans. I think you got 30 million people that they want to see what you got going on. She's an influencer. So you probably do have you're going to have 30 million followers. That don't make all those people fans. So they say if you have 100% following rate, at least 10% of those people are fans. 10%. So you got 30 million followers, only 30,000 of them are fans. She got 100 million followers. If you're talking about across her socials, across the things she's touched, 100 million people follow you. 10% of that.
There's a whole lot of nosy people out there.
So I guess moving forward, what we're gonna have to get into is, it sounds like companies are willing to buy the impressions they can make versus actual dollars that they can make. Because if they're impressions, I can say, okay, well, your Instagram post has 1,000 likes, so those are 1,000 impressions you've made from this one post, which means the possibilities of us converting even 10% of that is getting us somewhere, versus we don't have any impressions at all, because we kind of can use yours to make these impressions. So I guess it's where the line comes in. It's all about impressions.
You know what word they use, and I don't like it because it's trash. We use it like way too much. Potential.
Well,
we use it in relationships. We use it in business. People use it in music. The word potential, to me, is so trash, because you don't ever have to have anything to stand behind potential.
Yeah.
I seen you dunk one time. He might got the potential to be a star. This song hot. He might got the potential to be a star.
Right.
We turn potential, we try to make potential is a skill now.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
Kids are born with potential, not talent. That's what it's turning into. With social, you're born with potential. Hey, this kid, you beautiful. It's a with the pretty eyes and you're a potential star already. That kid can't act. You just cute, being cute, not acting. But they'll say it's the potential. You just gotta believe in the potential. Potential don't make money.
But
it don't make money.
But it can.
On the other side.
It doesn't. It won't translate into dollars until people see potential fail. So if we see it fail, we paid to see it fail, you'll never pay for it again.
Nope. That's why people get dropped from labels.
You'll never pay for it again. The money will only be made with potential if I can watch it fail. If I can watch you, if you want to be honest about the Cardi B thing, people wanted to see her fail. She gained a lot of fans because she did it.
That is true, because that's how she.
But she had a lot of followers because everybody wanted to see her fail. Hold on, you going from you trying to rap? You ain't the first one. Don't forget, a lot of the Love and Hip Hop cast,
they started as strippers,
are rappers.
This is true. That is very true.
Rashida, Jim Jones, Stevie J, acclaimed producer in the industry, acclaimed, Grammys. These are all people that nobody was talking about Rashida like music.
I don't even think I think I saw something the
Jock.
first time ever.
Young Jock.
Yeah.
It going down. Now you got Jericho, cuz.
Ain't even Jericho, it's a poof.
But you know what he turned it into? The potential to watch this man fail on TV turned it into hosting.
On the radio.
Now he on the radio.
Every morning.
That's people pay it. If you have the potential to fail, we're going to watch it. Mm-hmm. We watch Love and Hip Hop for the fights. I watch for the potential that somebody gonna get punched in the face. Mm-hmm. That's all we pay attention to. That's the only thing we care about. I don't like potential because potential doesn't equate to talent and it doesn't equate to skill. It only equates that you could have one of those. And then if you get one, then you got to build that into something else. So you have to acquire. You got the potential to acquire the talent because every kid can't sing. Every kid can't dance. But you see a kid do a little move. Oh, he got the potential to be the joint. No, he don't. Like, don't stop lying to people. It's potential is like a lie. Yo, you got the potential to just be the greatest. No, I don't. Because I don't even have the skill yet. I got the talent. Like, don't mask skill with potential. Because that's trash. People do that.
But that falls back on people, too, right? Like, that falls back on the audience, too, right? Because the skill, the talent isn't the requirement for a lot of people to be fans anymore.
If you never met me, but he told you about me, he would create the mystique about me. Yeah. He would create the conversation about my skill or he would create the conversation. That's what labels and that's what entertainment does. Yeah. It creates the conversation. Yeah. And then the people run with the conversation until they see the person.
Yeah. But if the people can't tell the difference, if people can hear you, I don't care even if you, I'm not gonna say a mumble rapper because that's not how I want to label people. But if people can't break you out into tears and say, well, this person writes, this person don't, this person can spit, this person can't, this person's talented, this person can't. If all they see is all of that and they can't tell the difference, it's just like I think we were talking about over the break, you say you can't tell somebody they're not winning when they just got this check or they just got that check. So for some people, that's all it is.
I mean, and I'll follow that theory because it's like, and I use myself because I'm an avid music person, but when it comes to hip hop and rap, I'm just now getting warmed up to it, especially this new age stuff. I don't know when somebody, what you was getting ready to say, that murmuring rap, I don't know what that means. And even when I listen to music now, I'm just like, okay, how am I supposed, I know what I like in music, which I think what keeps me in R&B and neo soul and stuff, because it's so hard to decipher hip hop now, because I'm like, and I'll use your words, this is trash. Like, they can't even, the only group I can definitively say I like is Migos. I will give them props because at first Bad and Bougie called me because everybody kept playing it and everybody kept talking about it. I was like, what is this song? And I heard the song and I was like, okay, that's a catchy little beat. Okay, whatever. And, you know, Offset and them are going, and I'm like, for me, I'm old school, so I'm listening for somebody. You can put them on any track, they can rap. Mm-hmm. So I hear Offset, and I'm like, okay, he can actually rap. Then I'm like, okay, let's see another song. And then Drip comes out, and I'm just like, okay, I like Cardi now at this point, and I know she's dating Offset because I've heard about it. So now I'm hearing this song. I want to see these boys can actually rap. We get to Drip, these boys go. I'm like, okay, these boys can actually rap. The other stuff, for me, the other stuff that I've heard, I'm like, these boys cannot rap. You can't put them on anything else except this one beat. How do I decipher what's a good rapper, what's a hip-hop person? Because I'm not that brought into hip-hop.
Because the industry used to do it.
This is true.
The industry used to do it. The industry used to say, Vigilante is a dope artist. Now the industry is like, Vigilante and Double-R and Ricardo and that poster behind you and the speakers and that charger, all of these things are great artists. And you like, hold on, cuz, like, yeah. They do that now because one of y'all gotta work.
Yeah. That's true.
And if I lose money on all y'all, I'll make all of it back on one of y'all.
Yep. That's good. That's good. On that note, we're going to take our second break, and when we come back, we're going to get more into this industry talk on the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
I can say that you're wonderful, but it doesn't seem good can say that you're kind, but that would miss the mark. I can say that you're beautiful, but to me you are so much more. How do I communicate exactly who you are? I'm trying to convey the sentiment of my heart and say I really do appreciate the way you brighten up my day. I can't find the words to describe you. It would take a million years. It would take a million years to explain the way I feel. You are the epitome. You are the epitome of everything I'll ever need. I'm so in awe of you. Lord, you leave me speechless. Now if I had more time, I would go down the line and name all the things that captivate my heart. But clearly I'm not aware of words that can compare. How do I communicate exactly who you are? I'm trying to convey the sentiments of my heart and say I really do appreciate the way you brighten up my day. Oh, I can't find the words to describe you. It would take a million years. It would take a million years to explain the way I feel. Lord, you are the epitome. You are the epitome of everything I'll ever need. I'm so in awe of you. Lord, you leave me speechless. Oh, I traveled every corner of my mind. Yes, I did. And found there's no expression that can define the way you care for me throughout the hands of time. I'm searching for a word to say, that you take my breath away. I can't find the words to describe you. If I had 10,000 tongues, it would take a million years to explain the way I feel. You are the epitome. Yes, you are. Everything I'll ever
listening to IBNX. IBNXradio.com. The station with the best music. Best music.
I love the music.
Best music.
Hey, what's up? It's Jay-Z.
Hey, I'm Mariah Carey.
Hey, it's Katy Perry.
It's your boy T.I.P., man. Get in.
It's your boy Sean Kingston.
What's up, y'all? I'm Beyonce. This is Nicki Minaj, and I'm in the mix with
IBNX Radio.
Hey, everybody. It's Ricardo D. Rice from the Leadership Blend, where we're simplifying your leadership. All right, everybody. Welcome back to this Friday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice, and my correspondents,
Simone Shree
And Ronald Newton.
and my guest today,
Double-R.
Vigilante.
All right, so we've spent this last hour and a half with this whole convoluted new realm of music. We'll say specifically hip-hop and R&B and all those good genres. All right, so when we were on break, we were talking about how this new flow chart works. All right, so let's in the old days, it was the companies and the record labels kind of distributing money down. So now we're saying that's different. So how does this new flow chart look?
It's just all about leverage, and it's all about how much a person is willing to pay you to concentrate on what they want you to concentrate on versus what you already have going on, and the ratio with that. If you would make $2 million being independent, now they got to double that in order to be able to have you signed to what they got going on, rather than them come to you with an immediate deal like, okay, this is how much we got. Either you're going to sign with this or you're going to stay independent and not have no buzz.
All right, so when we were on the break, we were saying that and I think we were using J. Cole as an example. Mm-hmm. So do the J. Cole example you just did when we were on break.
So J. Cole is signed to, I think he's still signed to Columbia. It's like he signed to Rock Nation, Columbia, and then he has a label, Dreamville. And Dreamville acts as an independent. They have a distribution deal. It's not a major label. It's not a partnership. So it's Dreamville, Columbia, Rock Nation. So it kind of go like this. So it's like you click that drop down, but then that drop down go this way, and then you click that one, and it's a drop down. And then it's different because most artists usually partner their label with the major. Mm-hmm. So like Drake and OVO, they were supposed to partner with the major. I think he's still keeping it as an independent until his label deal is whatever that got going on. But somebody like Ross has Maybach Music, and then they have a label deal. But every artist signed to his label has a label deal. You know what I'm saying? So like Wale is now with Warner Brothers. Meek is with, I think he's with Atlantic. Ross is he with Epic. Stolly left the label, so he back independent. And Omarion, I think he either with Columbia or RCA, one of them over there. But like all of his artists have independent artist deals. They're signed to a label with a label deal, and then Ross owns the label and he has a label deal.
That got really complicated really fast.
Yeah,
so how does that affect the money though? So because with the example we're using with J. Cole was like, okay, so J. Cole,
they control the budget. So it's all about who controls the budget.
Okay.
So like if I'm an artist, my budget comes directly from label to me. Mm-hmm. Versus versus with J. Cole's artists is Cole label. Because his deal has nothing to do with they're signed directly to Dreamville. They don't have like Dreamville RCA deal or Dreamville Epic deal and then Dreamville.
So in J. Cole's on, he pretty much makes the money from his major label, and then he distributes his money to his artists because they're signed to him.
Right.
So he controls all that stuff. The label only controls him.
Right.
But he controls the other 4 or 5 artists that are under him.
Right. And it's all about how you set that deal up, because it could be set up where he gets a budget from his major to fund his label, because he'll make it back on his back end. Mm-hmm. So say if he got 5 artists, everybody got $1 million to sign. Everybody got $500,000 budget. So they all signed for $500,000, and everybody got $500,000 budget for everything. So marketing, promotion, budget, for all that stuff. If everybody got $1 million, he got 5 from the major. Probably had to get 10
to include him.
Why not? I do everything. Produce, executive produce, I rap, I write. So everything that I do, by the time that the major make their money back, and they funded his label, and then they make their money back on that, everything after that is all just cheese and crackers for us. We don't gotta pay nobody else. Because it's us. We signed directly to him. We not signed to him and them.
Okay, so that's.
It's
I was trying to explain to you, Ricardo. I know you're not really conditioned in these things. This what he's speaking on. A lot of the bigger artists, the ones that are separate from this movement that we talking about, the Lil Uzi Verts. This is what they've adopted, and it started with. I don't really know where it started with, but the first person that I seen to do it was Lil Wayne with Young Money. And it was pretty much a subsidiary. That's pretty much what we talking about in business terms. We talking about subsidiaries. So Cole has Dreamville, like he said. Kendrick has TDE. Drake has OVO. And they all act as they're their own. It's pretty much what he's saying. I'm just letting you know that it's a big scale. Like a lot of people are paying attention to this format and they're adopting it once they get to a certain level.
It sounds like in the example that we use of J. Cole, if J. Cole decides to leave the major label he's on, he signed himself, and he still has other acts that are making money for him. So it doesn't really matter once he gets to a certain place. I don't need you anymore. So if you try to make me do an album I don't want to do, or the money's not what I'm used to making, I can walk away. And not only am I walking away with my money, I'm walking away with these other 5 acts that are making me money as well.
Yeah, because he's garnered a fan base so large that they engage with not only him, they engage with his artists.
There's a contractual side of this, though, and Double-R definitely, he spoke on it when he said it real briefly. He said it depends on how the contract is structured, because Lil Wayne just ran into this a couple years ago with how his contracts has been structured, where he couldn't get out even if he wanted to. He just couldn't. Cash Money had him. You feel what I'm saying? So
his label.
Oh, so he didn't do a. But I guess that becomes the next question, though. So because at one time, these kind of deals were done with lawyers and so on and so forth. If I'm an independent artist and I can't retain a lawyer, who's having these kinds of conversations? Who's drafting these contracts?
You still got to get a lawyer, but the question becomes how invested is the lawyer?
Or they give you one.
Or they give you a lawyer that works with their lawyer, and by the time you see the contract, they show you the good stuff.
And I'm about to say that is going to be adverse for you, because there's never going to be the consideration for your side. So if we're talking about independent artists, and you don't know much about music, and you get hit up on IG by Columbia, executive for Columbia, and they call you into a meeting, and you can't afford a lawyer, so who's drafting this contract?
All you got to do is remember, like, these deals is set up like iTunes contracts.
What does that mean?
You remember you got iPhone?
Yeah.
I got any phone that you ever get. When you log into your phone, asks you what language you speak, what time zone you live in, your name, your email address. And then right under that, it say terms and conditions. Click to read them. And then you click it, and it's 40 pages of terms and conditions. Contracts are made just like that. The problem is that the dollar amount is usually on the first page of the terms. And by the time you skip through the conditions, you sign your name.
This is true.
That's the contract. So if I see $15 million, I'm probably going to see that, my name, the date.
And it's about in the dotted line.
And I ain't even going to read the rest of this. So I ain't going to know how many albums. I'm not going to read about the publishing. I'm not going to see. It might say perpetuity on the first page. I've had a contract in my face that say perpetuity, which means that they'll own that music forever. But I don't care nothing about that, because that say 15 million. I got $37 in my account. Where I sign that? Black pen, blue pen, red. How you want me to?
Yeah, pick the color.
I got my own stamp with me. Can I stamp it? Like, that's what they introduced. And now they making the contracts, like if you see a current contract, it's so short. You skip through it, it's 4 pages. Certain people, 4-page contract. The number, how much music they wanted, And then I read the publishing, and I was like, nah, I don't like that. Because no matter how much money you give to me, when this is done, you're going to make way more than that. Yeah. And these dudes don't care. Boy, I got the chip. Boy, look at my wrist, my neck.
They be complaining 5-6 years later.
Look at my neck. Like, I got this many chains on that my neck got a neck to wear a chain. I'm confused. Because that don't translate into nothing. Mm-hmm. They so cool with the popularity as it comes that you forget, like, this money and this popularity, it'll eventually end.
It's going to die down.
And you got 7 million on you. You've accrued the expense of like several $1 million in expenses.
That's separate from the 15 that he said.
You know what I'm saying? That ain't even counting that money. Because that $12 million disappear so fast, and we don't realize, like, in music, how fast it disappeared.
Yeah, because when you start distributing that money after the money's made, it's not a lot.
Budgets in music disappear so fast. Because if you get on and you the dude that, like, nobody know, you go get, like, yo, I got to get the joint with, I got to get a joint with what's her name them. And I got to get a joint with what's her name them.
And they cost.
That stopped mattering to me when I read that Dr. Dre charged $300,000 to come sit in your studio. Not to touch boards, not to do nothing. It cost me 300 bands to get him to come sit in my studio session.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but isn't that worth it though? It's Dr. Dre.
No. If my budget is $250,000, I gotta add $50,000 more dollars to get somebody that's not gonna put his name on my record to sit in my studio session. No,
it's not worth it.
Yeah, but following the example that we used earlier, does that matter if I can get a picture of Dr. Dre sitting in my studio on my Instagram? Does that matter anymore?
Copyright infringement.
If it costs you $300,000 to do.
Yeah, but I don't need him to. But you already said we don't need him to put his stamp of approval on it. So if I can get a picture of Dr. Dre in my studio session and snap that picture and say Dr. Dre was in my studio session, those of us like myself who don't know any better, we're gonna automatically feel like he just approved you by coming to your studio.
Then the question is, what did you do or what did he do to get you in that setting?
Yeah, but that's your question. That's not our question as your followers or your fans.
And that's what I'm telling you. That's what these folks don't tell you.
I mean,
but to peel that back though, so I think a good question is, so what does an independent artist do with a budget, even if it's their budget, even if they're putting their own money up? What do they focus on? Do you focus on your craft? Do you focus on marketing? Do you focus on getting a manager, getting a lawyer on retainer for whatever I may run into? What do you focus on?
Like, what should be your priorities when it comes to?
It's all the above, but it depends on where you're trying to get with it. Some people don't want to put out albums; they want to just get radio play. People aim more toward visuals on YouTube. It just depends on what type of marketing you want to do with how you want to promote yourself. I would say that the lawyer thing is important. All of that is important. And honestly, one thing that we kind of mentioned but didn't mention, with myself, I draw up my own contracts. So when I go into a situation with anybody like the car company, I drew up the contract with my lawyer. And I presented it to them, even though it was a deal that they wanted to give me. And they agreed to everything.
Okay, so following that question, because we're running to the end, what is the advice to independent artists? Should your objective now be to dominate social media, or should it be, what is it? At this point, we've talked about so much today. What is the advice that you would give an up-and-coming independent artist? I hate to even ask that question because it's so, at this point, what we talk about is so vague, because you really have to know, like, what you want to do definitively.
My answer would be, do not, I repeat, do not try to copy what you see. It don't work like that. We assume that you can drop that one hot joint and it's going to catapult you up through there. It don't work like that all the time. Don't assume because we just see something for the first time that person ain't been working.
That's true.
Cardi B dropped 2 mixtapes before she had a hit.
That's discouraging.
Actually, let's go there. When we talk about mixtapes, do they still carry the weight that they used to? Because in the old days, they used mixtapes to kind of introduce people, so on and so forth.
No.
It depends on what kind of weight you're talking about.
Like, it was kind of the prelude to introduce you to the industry. Yeah, to the album and so on and so forth.
Music as a whole has depreciated. So whether I have my mixtape, my EP, or my album, if y'all walk out this station right now, somebody try to give it to you, you actually gonna think twice about taking it. When back in the day, they was moving units out of their truck.
True.
So the music distribution as a whole has depreciated. So mixtapes, albums, EPs, the only thing that's really working is singles. That's the only thing that's actually working.
Can you live off singles?
Yeah, easily. Easy.
So you can, because in those days there was an anticipation for an album after you've done 2 or 3 singles. Like there was the expectation. They've done 3 singles. We expect the album. So you're telling me now that's changed, that I can just do a single every 2 years.
There's always an argument to that, but essentially, yeah. Because single deals create, it creates a bubble. I give you a single deal, I put money in your pocket, and we're gonna flip this single for whatever it's worth. We're gonna turn it into too much money. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna turn it into too much money.
It's way easier to market a single than the album too.
The only problem with that is that we can't market you on the road. Like, we can tell everybody to come see you. That ain't gonna make them come back.
Oh, that's true, because you're not gonna have a discography with all these albums and all these songs and stuff.
So imagine what a 17-minute show look like if you pay $50 to go see it.
Right.
This is true.
But you play the same song 3 times.
A whole lot of filler. You gotta talk. You gotta bring other people.
Yo, y'all know how much I love y'all.
There we go.
Y'all know how much Yo, hey, DJ, run that back. No.
For the 7th time.
No.
So do y'all think it's important for artists to like release albums in order to keep their fans?
If you plan on being on the road, yeah.
But you need to be on the road, because that's where primarily most of your money's gonna come from if you're just gonna do artistry.
Yeah, create what you could do, and it's kind of like the template that you study the template of the people that came before internet. Creating a buzz does not like it. You could create a buzz on the internet, but in real life, create a buzz in person. You go out, you put yourself in front of people to create hard ticket sales. Because a lot of these artists don't have hard ticket sales. They can't sell out something with 500 people in it. You create something so you can get hard ticket sales. When you get hard ticket sales, you create a show that will make those hard ticket sale people come back. But when they come back, they'll tell somebody else. And you want to kind of create that way. So you create, before you even get to that, create music. You say you got that one song and that joint could be the joint, cool. But create enough music so when you take that one joint and you turn that in, you got something else that you can do on the road. Because that's where most of your money gonna come from. Because as soon as that one song blow up, them folks come at you with the deal. You take the deal, they gave you the budget. But by the time you look at the budget, it's gone because we're trying to make that song outlast. Most songs outlive artists.
Yeah, easily.
Most songs.
That's when you know you took off, when your song get bigger than you at a certain point.
I can't name any of my top 5 artists of all time that has a song that outlives them. They have albums. They have moments. They have instances in time, like periods. 93 to 97. That's my man's.
Yeah.
These dudes got like, you remember when that song came out in 2007?
That's like Jeremiah. When we were talking about Jeremiah, I was like, I remember birthday sex from like
that summer.
From like that summer. And when I hear that name, it's synonymous with that song. Like, I didn't know he was still making music. Like,
shout out to Jeremiah, but it's just like you create relationships with your fans, and it's not a fan market right now. It's a following market.
Right.
But artists that the Coles, the Kendricks, Big Sean, like dudes that are in my age range, they've created fans. Cole first mixtape came out in 2008. He a 10 in, a 12 in, because he was putting out stuff before that. Drake, you a 10 in. Nikki, you a 10 in. So for you to create fandom, because these dudes don't have fandom, they got like following them. Create fandom. Create something that people will go back. I still go back to Friday Night Lights. I still go back to the warm up. I still go back to the come up. I still go back to the first album. I can go back. I still go back to Section 80. Build something that makes me want to go back to it. These dudes don't have that. They have moment music. In the moment, I'm lit. When the moment over with, go to the next song.
So basically, the advice to up and coming independent artists is to use social media to amplify what you're doing in the field.
To solidify it.
To solidify what you're doing in the field, not be the end all be all for your artistry.
Yeah.
Popularity is not fame.
It's not the same.
No, yeah, it's two different things.
Okay, that I was not expecting that in these 2 hours, and that 2 hours is not even enough to unravel all of this. Nah. Like this, it's a whole.
I'm still learning it.
Hey, go get your Googles, man. Get your Googles.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's y'all might have to do another show because that one actually kind of good. We have to do another show.
Yeah.
We will have to do. All right, so we're in our last 6 minutes. Go, because you have something coming up in a week.
All right, so September 2nd, I Lounge Atlanta, East Atlanta Village. My album, Can I Borrow a Dollar? The album release party is going to be crazy. We're going to have media there. We're going to have Ricardo's going to be in the building.
I knew he was going to do that.
That's September 2nd.
I knew he was going to do that.
At I Lounge, East Atlanta Village. Album release party for Double-R, Can I Borrow a Dollar? The doors are open at 7 o'clock. We're going to have live bands. We're going to have guest performances by friends of mine, O-Bands, and K-Deezy. Shout out to those guys. I will repost on my page so you can go and follow those guys, but definitely come check that out. The album will be out everywhere on Sunday. So everything comes out Sunday, September 2nd. The album, the video for the single Live, the song Lit, everything. It's going crazy.
Did you say what your page is? Your IG?
My IG is Double-R Music. That's DOUBLERMUZIK. Follow me, check out some stuff, and we got the stuff.
All right, you want to give them a little something?
Oh, some bars?
Yeah, you want to give them some bars. Vigilante started it, so I was like, you know what, that's not a bad idea, because I know you know how to do it.
Let's do it.
Let's see.
And pick something clean.
Something clean?
Pick something clean.
All right, cool. I'm going to spit it from beginning to end. Tell you about this man who was in it to win. And he thought it the trend because he listened to friends, never realizing what he was in. He went behind the building and he got jumped in. He got a gun and a flat, and then he got new friends. His new friends, they stole a car, and he hopped in. He went from smoking weed to club hop in, and now he roam the corner from the morning to street night. Traps from his home right in front of the street light. See rappers on TV who he strive to be like. See money in the cars and he thinking that be nice. If I get the rims, then I gotta get the seats right. Bought glasses off the corner just so he had some street sight. He told his girlfriend, lady, she'd be his street wife. I dare call her hood, but in the hood call her street life. He is sort of deranged, but who can you blame? Outside what's in his pain, and they call it insane. And know that all his thoughts off the top of the brain, and know that all of my thoughts are exactly the same. They tried to hit him on the same block. His brother was slain. He left and came at 3 years later. See that nothing has changed. Man, still rolling the Jane. Old man Newt still hustling for change. He shooting up, it goes right to his brain. And he doesn't know what to do because he's no longer sane. He got a son on the block because he just want to bang. But he doesn't understand that life in the game. And then even though he older, I still tried to explain that no matter what you're going through, I feel your pain. But he picked the gun up and put it right to his brain. That's one shot. The game's over and he's no longer playing. Man.
All
right, so
good.
Okay. That was cold.
All right, Vigilante.
All right. I'm going to do the socials after I do my rap. I'm going to do the rap first. Okay. All right. I said, when you start from the bottom and begin to inch, the view is clear as day when it's from the bench. If your life stinks, you don't have to accept the stench. No offense, but as the Mexicans jumping the fence. You think big, you gain big when you aim big. Who would have thought Marcus and Vigilante the same kid? Living life below the poverty line. These other rapper skills is poor, they're making poverty rhymes. My goal is to be an example for the young one and let them know that life is more than what's been told to them. What better example is for there than be showed to them, and that they gotta earn it all, nothing's owed to them. My president is black, making big moves. Economy so bad we can't even afford kid shoes. Inmates eating pig food, playing with kids glue, sleeping in rooms colder than igloos. All the underground space getting filled up, so there's no room for the rappers with the real stuff. Bragging about how they sell dope and steal stuff. But life is still rough, so to grab the joint and take a puff. Get a real job, get some ends and try to save it. Stop trying to make new hits that's catchy and basic. Mainstream is the same thing. You played a huge role in how lame the game seemed. I don't know what label's looking for anymore. Anybody making feet move on the floor, one lame dance song and you get a tour. We gotta demand more. It's taking music from its core. My arrival is revival of a dying breed, but I was trying to keep it on the low like I was buying weed. Our whole century needs some minty. I deserve platinum acknowledgement in a documentary. I blame the labels and the artists that they made hot. They really helped hip-hop find a grave spot. Now I got to CPR it till it breathes again. Stay consistent and praying hope it never leaves again. The effort that I'm putting in, unmatchable. I fell in love with music and now our souls are undetachable. Every breath I take, every move I make, it goes to making those who's sleeping on me.
All right, so what's your social media stuff?
At Vigilante LOM. The LOM is for Lights Out Music. So VIGILANTE LOM. Vigilante Visuals on YouTube. Vigilante Vivo on Vivo. That's how we do it everywhere. Go copy some cards from YLDcards.net. Yeah.
Yes, I will give it to Vigilante. He has the branding thing down. So he's sitting in the studio with a computer with his picture on it. We're going to talk about this bottom part of this water bottle.
Talk about that water,
we're going to talk about that water bottle.
Okay.
But I like the top part. Like, he has a water bottle that has Bluetooth capabilities. It's quite impressive. It's quite impressive. And, of course, he had to bring his own camera and stuff. He's his own movement. It's fine. I'll give him his props. Now I'll give you your props.
Okay, thank you.
I was going to give it to you in the beginning. Now I'll give you your props.
Take all show. Thank you.
You get your props now. He has to bring down to science. All right, so my correspondence, last thoughts, final thoughts. Simone?
I think it's really cool. I'm glad that y'all came and talked about being independent. I would really want them to come back because I would love to hear a lot more about what that beginning looks like too. Yeah. Like y'all have years and years into this, Vivo, and then over a decade writing and all of that. I think it'd be really cool to see them come back and talk about every little piece that goes into it. But it was good to meet you both.
Yeah, it was good meeting both of you guys. I appreciate y'all coming in, sharing the knowledge. A lot of stuff me and Ricardo both didn't know. We still over here trying to figure out how to
I can't unravel this right now.
And I hope both of y'all be successful in y'all careers and keep it going.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, so to my guests, I'm appreciative of the both of you being here. It was an awesome interview. We will get you back because I agree with Simone. Like, I still can't unravel all of this. And I talked to Derek a lot of times. I know Miss Derek. Double-R. I talked to Double-R a lot of times, so I know he's profound in his own right. But I had no idea that the music industry had changed this dramatically for an independent artist, or just artists in general. So we definitely want to get both of you guys back because you both brought different aspects to this conversation, which is what we want here on the Leadership Blend. So I will see everybody on Monday. On Monday, we will talk about social media from the business aspect. What does LinkedIn do? What does Facebook do for your business? So Alan's going to be here next week. He works for a social media company that this is all they do. So he's going to break all of that down. So I will see you guys on Monday, same time, same place on the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.